So you open up a brand new session, being greeted by that oh so familiar new session feeling. The anticipation, the possibilities. And you start by making a sweet loop. And it sounds so good. But you get stuck, and the loop just repeats, and repeats, and repeats. And then you stop wanting to work on that loop. So you start a brand new session, being greeted by that oh so familiar brand new session feeling, and the process continues. Okay, so you're stuck in what I like to call thinking vertically. Loops and digital audio workstations have the side effect of creating this sort of thinking. You know, where you stack instruments on top of each other but don't really go anywhere musically, and then you're stuck in this loop over and over and over and over again. So here are my 3 tips on how to start thinking horizontally. Number 1, stop using cycle or loop, or whatever it's called. Instead, just repeat the section throughout the entire session, allowing you to change the loop as you go. Within your digital audio workstation, you can repeat sections just as you would if it were looping, but it's more visual in your timeline to see where you might want, chord changes or changes in the loop to happen, or just new sections entirely. You are literally making the vertical loop happen more often horizontally. By not using cycle, you can better create a visual sense of the different sections in your song. This is fundamentally the same thing as this, and yet one looks more like a song. You can kind of trick yourself into thinking that you have more done and more sections to work on to make it more dynamic without ruining the original loop. You have the original loop still built in, recorded in your session, but you have it a bunch of times over the entire session across the digital audio workstation, which allows you to work on it more and allows you to visually see the entire song rather than just a vertical loop. Number 2. Leave room at the beginning of the session. Again, this is another visual trick with a digital audio workstation. Visually seeing something away from the first measure, at least for me, helps me understand that it can be edited and moved, that it's not glued to one side of the session. Plus, you can bounce sessions starting from anywhere, so beat 1, bar 1 doesn't really have to be at a specific location. On top of this, if you treat the couple of bars at the beginning of the session as a count-in, then you have a bit more in your audio file to work with, maybe for like a cheeky little intro or something. Remember that working in a digital audio workstation allows you the ability to move things down the timeline without destroying the rest of your session. If this was physical tape, it would be a different story. It's not like you can just move a guitar take after you record it on physical tape. But in a digital audio workstation, everything can kind of be everywhere to be saved for later, to be dragged back into the session, to be copy and pasted over here, or copy and pasted over there. It's amazing the technology that we have when it's non-destructive recording. And finally, number 3, get hands-on with it. If you can, bust out an instrument or get hands-on with a keyboard. Music is like painting with time. You can infuse emotion into your playing, create dynamics within your recording, and change the feeling of the loop by adding the human element. It also allows you to feel when a section needs to be changed. Here, I felt that I needed to play a different chord and add a new section. So I played the chord, stopped recording, and then started working out what felt best for the next section. This also works by having the whole session be visual, like tip number 1, because you can visually see where you played a different chord or where you want a new section to happen. And you can stop and change the loop, but not have to deal with the fact that you just have like an 8-bar loop or whatever. What it really comes down to is this. Thinking horizontally is thinking about the music you're making as a journey, as an experience, as a process. It means that you are making music with dynamic changes, chord changes, different lyrics, different meanings, different feelings. Thinking horizontal is thinking about music. And at the end of the day, if the loop sucks, it just sucks. Sometimes you make a bad loop and sometimes you make a bad song and they just suck and it is what it is. And you learn and you move on. Thank you for watching. That went fucking fast, bro.